mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts. How do we like our martial arts? We like them mixed. Yeah.
No.
AK may not like the mixing of the martial arts, but I think UFC fans will enjoy the mixing of the martial arts tomorrow in the main event of UFC Vegas 58, big one at 155 pounds. It's the battle of the Rafaels or the Rafaels, however you want to put it. Two guys with first names spelled exactly the same, pronounced a little differently, and only one Rafael or Rafael can reign supreme at UFC Vegas 58. And we're going to preview the card with you right now, live on the MMA Fighting YouTube channel. I am Mike Heck. Thank you for joining us. We have José Youngs joining us as well. Long time no see, Jose.
Mm-hmm.
And the Prince of Positivity, the man who loves mixing the martial arts more than any journalist on the planet.
Stop it.
My best friend, AK, Alexander Cayley. Hi, AK.
Hashtag keep the martial arts apart. Keep them apart.
All right. So we're gonna do things a little bit differently here. We're gonna start off with a game of trivia for Mr. José Youngs, because he has the elephant brain in the MMA media space. So we're gonna make this nice and easy. We're gonna play a game of over/under, Jose. Over/under.
Mm-hmm.
This is Rafael Fiziev's first UFC main event, and of course we follow the José Youngs rule. Nothing is official till both guys enter the octagon. But we're gonna stay positive here. When both guys hopefully enter the octagon tomorrow, it'll be Fiziev's first UFC main event. Over under 10 main events for RDA.
Let me count. So he main evented against Felder. He made it against Leon. He made an event against Kevin Lee. Usman, I think that was the main event, but I think that was a tough finale. Robbie.
It was a main event. Yeah.
Tony Ferguson, I think that was tough. Latin America. So what am I up to? 6 right now? Yep. Eddie Alvarez, of course. Cowboy. Anthony Pettis, of course. What am I up to right now?
You're up to 9.
Benson. I think that was in Tulsa or Albuquerque. Is that it in terms of main event?
So it has to be over. This will be a main event. Yeah.
Okay.
This will be main event number 11 for
Wait a minute.
Wait,
no.
real quick. Jose, can you unplug your mic and replug it in? I'm getting some weird static on your mic. Are you guys hearing that too?
Yeah, powerful. It's very powerful.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of unplug and plug it back in or something.
It's like Barry White-esque. Well, while we fix Jose's
Wait a
audio
minute.
issues.
I thought this was RDA's 9th. I thought this was his 9th Fight Night main event.
No, main event total.
Main event total. Oh, counting the one pay-per-view.
Yeah, Pettis.
Yeah.
Would be
Am
10.
I better,
So
Casey?
This will be 11. That's better.
Sounds good, Jose. You sound better now.
Pettis would be 10.
This will be 11.
This will be my mind is scrambling. You know, let me finish putting up this poll, a very important poll first. And then very important.
You should have been done with that, because now you know what question I'm going to ask you, AK.
Okay.
Not a trivia question, but this is the fight night coming off of a storyline filled UFC 276 event. We're a week away from the ABC event in Long Island. Then it's London. Then it's 277. This is the only remaining Apex card for the month of July. What's the gymnastics scale for this one? Fantastic main event. Some competitive fights underneath the main event. But what are we rating this? That face. I don't like that face, AK.
7.1. It's got a lot of bantamweights on it, which I like. That's about it.
That's it? That's the whole thing?
No, it's got a lot of bantamweights on it. And it's got, I'm going to give it the old, hey, there's a lot of names on here that people might not be familiar with that could turn out to be, good fighters in the UFC. Like, not I should say good. They're all, they're all talented, good fighters that could turn out to be like, notable names either in the rankings or, fighters that could be fan favorites and stick around for a long time. Ricky Turcios is in there. I'm a big Ricky Turcios guy. I don't know if he ever becomes like a top 10 bantamweight, but I feel like he's a guy who could have a nice, 10, 15 fight run with the UFC if all the cards fall right. So, and I think there's a few names on here like that. So I'm not predicting any of these people become like world beaters, but yeah, if you're kind of looking for some fresh faces, some unpredictability, then I think you will be happily served by checking out this card if you plan to watch the whole thing. Otherwise, yeah, not a decent main card. So yeah, I might be overrating it, but I think if everything goes right, it's a 7.1. Yeah.
Jose, what about this main event? This is a good one. We've been talking about this for a few weeks now. We got former champ Rafael dos Anjos taking on the surging prospect, surging contender, and Rafael Fiziev. I don't feel like, and it's hard to heavily promote this one because of everything else going on, the crowds, etc. But this is a sneaky good fight at 155, and the stakes could actually be really high here. As the biggest fan of high-level martial arts competition on the MMA fighting staff, this one's got to hit you right in the feels, is it not?
Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 main event. And I don't really consider Fiziev a prospect at this point. You know how in the MLB 100, once you hit 45 days in the major leagues, you're no longer eligible to be labeled a prospect. I think once you're 5 fights in, or you're ranked, or you get a main event, you're not a prospect anymore. This dude is a monster at lightweight. I mean, knocking out Brad Riddell and beating Bobby Green and Moicano, like those are 3 names that people recognize. Even Mark Diakese, who is not the highest rated lightweight in the world, but he's at least people recognize that name. So yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 main event. I know I said the same thing about Gamrot versus Arman Sarukian. This is right next to that in terms of just high level martial arts. And then obviously next week with Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez, the UFC is really, I know a lot of people complain about the UFC and matchmaking and these weird main events, especially when it's like heavyweights, when we get like Volkov and Jairzinho, but these are 3 straight fight nights, including this one, where the main event is 10 out of 10 in terms of just martial arts. I don't care where it is. I don't care who's watching. I don't care what time it is. I don't care the location. I don't care if it's a sparring match. This is a 10 out of 10 main event, and I cannot wait for the battle of the Rafaels versus Rafael.
I'm glad you mentioned the Diakese fight, because not a lot of people talk about that one, and I feel like that was the fight that really put Fiziev on everybody's radar, because he looked so good in that fight. It was on Fight Island. He was coming off of the loss, so we're like, Diakese.
He lost to Magomed and then beat Alex White and then beat Mark Diakese, if I remember correctly.
Alex White, that's right. Okay, so coming off his first UFC win, and he styled on Mark Diakese, AK. That was an incredible performance. But you mentioned 7.1 AK. This main event is fantastic. What stands out to you in the battle of the Rafael versus Rafael here?
First off, let me say I have made a poll as to what the stakes of this fight should be. We had a little bit of a dispute in our internal Slack channel because obviously everyone knows in the battle of Rafael versus Rafael, someone has to change their name. That is how these things go. They're both very famous. Both guys you would refer to by their first name. So the options, of course, Jose, I put your option first, Randy. Ralph, which is my preferred suggestion. For a third option, I just threw Roger out there. That's a bad name. Just I don't think either guy wants to be called Roger. And then also in other, people can leave their own suggestions. It's close. It's close so far. Ralph at 40%, Randy at 30%. So pretty close. I mean, the top 2 options, I think, pretty fair. I have not seen the others. I will have to look at producer Casey. You can pull up some of those later. I'm sure our fans will have some lovely suggestions. But yeah, I just love this matchup for where it is in both guys' careers. This is the kind of matchup I'm pretty sure our Otno listeners are pretty high on, Mike. Dos Anjos, look, he's been around forever. He's fought the best of the best. Does Fiziev rank up there with the names that he's faced in the past? We're going to find out. That's why you make these matchups happen. I think he is. I think Fiziev is a top 10, but definitely a potential title contender. And I love that a guy like RDA, he's willing to fight anyone and is willing to take on guys like this who have way more to gain from beating him. Though at the same time, if you're RDA, you're holding on to that spot. I mean, he's number 7 in our rankings. That's a very, very high. That's a very, very high ranking. And that's definitely something worth defending. So I think he sees also, a somewhat favorable fight in Fiziev. Striking wise, of course, Fiziev can go with anybody. RDA, though, a master of mixing the martial arts, one of the most well-rounded fighters, I think, that I would go as far as say the lightweight division has ever seen. He just does everything so perfectly well. Is he getting to the point now? He's 37. He'll be 38 by the end of the year. Is he getting to the point now where father time and the athleticism gap is catching up to him? Because Fiziev is a really, really good athlete at 155. And also, again, you add that into his amazing skill level. Is that now the point where he's ready to surpass RDA? I'm really looking forward to seeing what everyone's picks are for this fight. I'm not even sure if I've made up my mind yet. But yeah, I just like, I think that the thought behind the matchmaking is really strong, and that's why I'm such a fan of it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic fight. Can't wait to see it. Besides the actual name change, Jose, besides the Ralph and the Randy Dos Anjos or Randy Fiziev or whatever, what is at stake here? I don't think a title fight's at stake. I had a couple of people ask me this morning if maybe they could slide in and fight for an interim title or a vacant title or anything like that. I don't think it's that, but we have seen Fiziev get the attention of one Conor McGregor this week. Conor seems to be commenting on everything Fiziev does on social media, and RDA's continuously called out Conor to try to run that one back or rebook that one that was canceled all that time ago for UFC 196. So could the winner of this, could Conor be a possibility here? Like, are we talking something like that for Conor's return? Are we looking that high as far as stakes go, or what do you think happens for the winner?
I think RDA is more likely to fight Conor than Rafael Fiziev, considering that Rafael Dos Anjos and Conor were matched up at one point, and it seems like whenever they're in the same room, they're just jawing at each other. And Conor seems to be one of these guys, well, actually, I know he's one of these guys, where he's even said something along the lines of, like, if we're matched up in the past and it falls out, we're destined to fight at some point. Apparently my audio is rough, so let me refigure this microphone out. Come back to me, Mike.
You sound like a robot. AK, or my co-matchmaker here. Is Conor in play here for the winner of this fight?
Oh, no. Listen, I would love to see Fiziev fight Conor or RDA. Man, what a great full circle moment that would be. One of the biggest, it wouldn't answer, but at least it would give us, I think even closure is a strong word, but just give us something that we want to see, that we thought would happen 7 years ago. Of course, turned out to be a completely, career-changing moment for Conor McGregor. I mean, he loses to Nate Diaz, who of course stepped in for Rafael Dos Anjos, and then it gets that rematch. And that whole sequence just took Conor to the next level. Maybe he would have gone there anyway. Maybe a win over RDA would have done that anyway. He would have become the lightweight champion sooner. But it feels like that Diaz feud was like so essential to what he became. Here's a little teaser, by the way. We will have a little article over the weekend, a little discussion over the weekend about some of C-Mac's greatest feuds. And of course, Diaz will deserve some mention. But yes, the Diaz feud does not happen unless the RDA matchup falls through. So I'd love to see that come around. Conor, I think, has always mentioned that he's like, oh yeah, that's certainly something I'd like to do someday. But he said that about a lot of opponents, and we know that Conor McGregor is not going to fight like 9 out of the 10 people he's beefed with on Twitter. And unfortunately, I think that also includes Fiziev. Even Fiziev himself was like, he said on the MMA Hour, yeah, I'll probably fight Conor if I lose to RDA. Not he wasn't saying like, yeah, I need to get a win to earn that fight. He's even looking at it like, I beat RDA, I'm one step closer to the lightweight title. Conor McGregor is not part of that equation right now. So it's just, it's a fun thing to talk about online. It was really mostly respectful until Conor, of course, kind of just took it a step too far. Like the next day, we don't know why, but just felt like he needed to really, really throw some insults at Rafael Fiziev. So yeah, I don't think either fight's really on the table, and that's fine. I hope I hope people aren't thinking that's going to happen. Again, based on RDA's history and based on Fiziev and McGregor's recent social media history, I just don't think it's in play. McGregor has so many other options he can chase. But of the two, man, I'd love to see Fiziev get in there with McGregor. That'd be really fun.
That'd be an absolute slapper, no doubt about it. Before we get to picks, Jose, I think you sound a little bit better just by tapping on the mic there. What's the big question this main event? What's the stand? Because we have a few, obviously, with both of these guys, but what's the one that really stands out to you?
Say it again. Sorry, you cut out for a second.
We got fireworks going off at 3:15 p.m. Eastern time outside of my house. What the hell is going on here? You South Carolinians are nuts, dude. You guys are all insane. But anyways, what's the burning question you have about this fight? There's several, but what's the one that stands out the most?
Well, I feel like RDA has been he's won 2 in a row at lightweight, but they've been under strange circumstances. Like the Paul Felder fight was super last minute, and that was Paul Felder's last fight. The Moicano fight was also last minute, and then they ended up keeping it 5 rounds, much to the chagrin of a lot of people on the MMA Fighting Slack channel. So it was back-to-back really impressive performances for RDA, but they were back-to-back opponents that weren't prepared to fight him until like basically the day of the week of the fight. So I want to see how RDA does against Rafael Fiziev, who has been basically, this is the second straight camp Rafael Fiziev has had in preparation for Rafael dos Anjos. We all remember when Rafael dos Anjos called into the MMA Hour and learns that Rafael Fiziev was pulling out of their initial pairing back in, what was that, March? Was that the co-main event of Masvidal Covington, if I remember correctly? So I want to see how Rafael dos Anjos does against a well-prepared opponent. And, of course, I want to see against how Rafael Fiziev does against someone who, as AK loves, mixes all of the martial arts almost better than anyone else at lightweight. If there was a BMF fight at lightweight, Rafael dos Anjos is one half of that. I don't know who the other guy is, but Rafael dos Anjos is down to clown against anyone, anytime. He's fought in the tall welterweights and the Neil Magny's. He's fought in the guys that no one wants to fight in Leon Edwards. He's fought in Kamaru Usman in the main events of tough finales. Now he's fighting against Rafael Fiziev, who a lot of people consider a future title contender. And even Rafael Fiziev said this on the MMA Hour. There's few fighters he respects more than Rafael dos Anjos, because after he beat Moicano, he didn't have to take this fight again, and he did. He's, like I said, he's down to fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. So I want to see how. Basically, too long didn't read. I want to see how Rafael dos Anjos does against someone well prepared and not on a short notice fight. And I want to see how Rafael Fiziev does in a 5-round fight against a guy who can strike with him and grapple with him. So a lot of questions will be answered on Saturday.
Yeah. My biggest one is clearly, to me, is if this fight gets extended and goes into rounds 4 and 5, how will Fiziev be able to handle all of that?
Yeah.
So, AK, let's go to the picks, my man. You said you weren't really sure, but now you got to jump over the fence somewhere. So are we going with Rafael or Rafael to get their hand raised tomorrow night?
God, RDA is so good. He's so good. Let's see who's beating him. Okay, listen, he's lost to, I'm looking at his recent losses. Mel Chiesa, great grappler. I'd say a size advantage. I'd say there's a size advantage. Not to take away from Mel Chiesa, there's a size advantage. Leon Edwards, number one contender at welterweight, no shame there. Before that, beats Kevin Lee, and then Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington again, arguably but two of the best 3 or 4 welterweights in the entire world. Back at lightweight, though, man, he's a tough out. Is Fiziev there yet? I guess you're asking me a question, so I'm supposed to answer instead of asking questions back. I'm telling you, I really, up to as of the filming that we're doing now, I had not made up my mind. I've been totally bouncing between both of them. Boy, I like this to stay on the feet. So, Fiziev by decision in a really competitive, really fun fight. RDA is going to give him some problems. He's going to get some good work against the fence, get a takedown in there. But I think Fiziev's got the athleticism. I think he's got some good takedown defense. I see him escaping some trouble positions, winning the majority of the striking exchanges. The RDA is going to land his shots too. He always does, and winning a decision. Could be another. It feels like we're headed for a scorecard controversy. It feels like we haven't had one in, I don't know, 2 weeks. So there we go. Fiziev by decision.
Jose, your thoughts?
Why would you say we're going to have controversy, man? Silly. I'm just going to go opposite, AK. He picked Fiziev. I'm going to pick RDA just to make this interesting. I have absolutely no idea who's going to win this fight. This is very much a 50-50 fight. We've seen Rafael dos Anjos, like I said, beat 2 very impressive guys back-to-back, but that was on short notice. Rafael dos Anjos has also been hurt pretty bad at lightweight, and then he's kind of succumbed to, like, the weight cut has caught up to him, and he's just kind of faltered in there, like the Eddie Alvarez, like the Tony Fergusons and all that. So if Rafael Fiziev starts styling early, I don't know if Rafael dos Anjos is going to be able to, in rounds 2, 3, 4, catch up, if that makes sense. So I think we're going to have a pretty good idea of who's going to win this fight after the first round and a half. If Rafael dos Anjos stymies Rafael Fiziev's, like, very dynamic striking, one of the most exciting strikers in this division, I think he's going to cruise to a victory. But if Rafael Fiziev starts implementing his game early and hurts Rafael dos Anjos, or stuns him, or just stymies a takedown and this and that, because it's not so much you stop one, can you keep stopping them? Like, you stop the first takedown, great. You stop the second takedown, great. You get taken down the third time and you're already tired from stuffing 2, it's going to be a long night. So in the first round and a half, we're going to have an idea. But just so I can be opposite of AK, I'm going to say Rafael dos Anjos, just because he's one of the greatest fighters in the history of the UFC.
I'm looking at this like kind of Jose is, where it's a 50-50. And I'm playing this as if I have $20 in my hand and I have to go up to the betting window and play money line. Fiziev being a minus 205 favorite is not like overly shocking, but it is a little surprising with Dos Anjos being a pretty sizable dog here at plus 175. So if I'm going to the betting window with the free $20 and I have to put it on somebody, I'm putting it on RDA at plus 175. I think there's a ton of value there. I'm curious what the RDA decision prop looks like, but I feel like if RDA is going to win this fight, he's going to win it by decision. So I'll lean RDA, but this is a very close fight. It's 50-50 fight. But if you're looking at it from a betting perspective, I feel like there's a ton of value on RDA at plus 175. So should be a great competitive fight. I think it's going to be really close. I think we're going to see the cards. And I think either way, this is going to be probably the most important fight of Rafael Fiziev's career, because when you write the book of Rafael Fiziev, this fight is going to have its own chapter, maybe two, because win or lose, this is going to be one of those defining fights for him. So can't wait to see it. We also got Caio Borralho versus Armen Petrosyan. We have Douglas Silva de Andrade against Said Nurmagomedov. We got Jared Vanderaa versus Chase Sherman on this main card. I know a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads, but this is what the UFC does with heavyweight fights. Cynthia Calvillo versus Nina Nunes on the main card. Michael Johnson versus Jamie Malarkey kicks off the main card. AK, what's the main card fight that stands out the most? Because I'm sure you're going to say we don't have a quote-unquote co-main event. We have more of a second-to-last fight. But Caio Borralho's got 2 straight co-main events, AK. How about that?
Back to back. Listen, and Caio has all the makings of a future middleweight. You know, we keep talking about how 185 is getting kind of feisty, and he could really be part of that. We'll see how he does against Armen. I think Armen could be a good stylistic matchup for him. I do feel like Caio's going to have an enormous grappling advantage, and I don't think he'll have too much of a problem getting Armen Petrosyan to the ground. But yeah, he's got a great marketable look. He's kind of going for this super muscular Brazilian nerd look, which is, again, if you got that going for you, more power to you. So I don't really have that much of a problem with him being the penultimate fight. It's definitely not a co-main event, though this card doesn't really have one. I probably would have just swapped the bantamweight fight with the middleweight fight. I think Said Nurmagomedov is someone that should be investing in, and at the same time, I also think Douglas Silva de Andrade, De Silva, is one of the most underrated guys at 135. I think his only losses are like Rob Font, Lerone Murphy, and Piotr Jan at 135. That's pretty good. And he's beating some good names. He's got Brown there, Sergey Morozov, another guy who I think is underrated. So I guess it depends how you view that win. So I would have loved to have seen that in the co-main event, but I'm a big bantamweight guy. People know that. Otherwise, you could have gone Calvillo and Nunes. I also like to advocate for the women's flyweight division to get a little more shine. But entertainment-wise, I'm not sure how great that fight's going to be. Calvillo fight's going to be pretty ugly. So it could be entertaining, but maybe not in a second-to-last slot on the card. But yeah, I really love bantamweight matchup. I think it's a huge test for Said. Again, someone I think is legit, absolutely legit prospect. I don't know if I'm favoring him here. I know he's favored odds-wise. If he can beat De Silva and convincingly, man, again, another killer at 135, another guy who probably could be ranked in the top 15, but just because of the depth of it, might not make it. But that's really is one fight to watch for sure.
What's the José Youngs main event outside of the actual main event, Jose?
I'm interested in how Kenny Njoku and Carl Roberson plays out. Carl Roberson, of course, was like a pretty dynamic middleweight that just kind of couldn't get his weight cut down. I know he's coming off of 3 straight losses, but I'm pretty sure it was to Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen, and don't tell me, Khalil Roundtree, if I remember correctly. And even before that, I'm pretty sure one of his other loss was to Glover Teixeira. So he's losing to the best of the best. Kenny Njoku is an incredibly tall, powerful Nigerian fighter. I think he has a win over. He beat Carlos Ulberg pretty violently, if I remember correctly. In I think that was Carlos Ulberg's official UFC debut. I know he won on the Contender Series, but I can't quite remember. And obviously Jared Vanderaa, Chase Sherman. I think that's just going to be a sloppy fight. I don't expect the winner to fight past his fight in the UFC. Maybe I think I saw a lot of people in the comment section saying, "Is Cynthia Calvillo fighting for her career?" I think it just depends on how she wins, if she loses, how she loses. Because Nina Nunes, I don't think is going anywhere. She's pretty beloved by the masses. Well, so is Cynthia too. But like you said, the fights can get pretty ugly. And then I'm curious to see how Anthony Shevchenko versus Courtney Casey plays out. And if I am a betting man, I am pretty confident that ends in a split decision. And the loser is going to be pretty upset because that's usually how Courtney Casey fights go. Unfortunately, she like if you look at like we talk about Angela Hill just being on the wrong end of split decisions. If you look at those losses, like who'd she lose to? Like I know she lost to JJ Aldrich by split. I'm pretty sure she lost to Michelle Watterson by split. Felice Herrig, maybe if I remember correctly, and then even her win over Angela Hill, if I remember correctly, like these are all like they could go the other way. All one judge has to do is score for the other person. They could flip it. I think she's 9-9, 10-10, 10-10, something 10-9, something like that. So I'm pretty confident when I say that fight will probably go to a split decision. It's going to be a fun fight, but someone's going to be upset.
Yeah, main card fight. I mean, Michael Johnson, Jamie Malarkey is going to be super fun. Jamie Malarkey is hilarious. He on his Instagram story, he was doing his UFC media photos and he had his shorts on backwards. So he caught himself and said, "Oh, I Vittoria'd myself," or something like that. It was very, very funny. Low-key banger is the first fight of the night. Ronnie Lawrence versus Saidyokub Hakhramonov is going to be redonkulous. This fight deserves better, okay? I'm not here to complain about much on this card, but that fight deserves better. It deserves to be higher up on the card because it's going to be really, really good, and it's going to be outshined by something on the main card, and it's probably not even going to be in the running for a fight of the night or a potential performance of the night, and kind of stinks because both these guys are really good. Ronnie Lawrence had an incredible debut, and Hakhramonov had a great debut too. He fought Trevin Jones on like super short notice and got a finish, so this fight is awesome. I don't like that it's the first fight of the card, but it is what it is. Here we are. David Onama gets to stay on the card, so I'm excited to see him fight against a young whippersnapper named Garrett Armfield, who I've been pretty high on for a while. Tough ask on short notice to make your UFC debut against a guy like Onama, but these two guys have fought before, so they are familiar with each other. And
different weight class, too. Just like Onama did, he debuted at sort of a not ideal weight class, and obviously now 145. I think Armfield, when he sticks around, probably 135 going forward, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. He's pretty much made a name. 35, and he's a good fighter. I've been talking. He's one of those Sanford MMA guy, or I'm sorry, Killcliff MMA guys.
Can we just keep calling it? Can we agree we're just going to keep calling it Sanford?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while for that, but
no,
we have to be professional. All right, it's officially called Killcliff.
Ian Mercado. He's also Ian Mercado Gary out of Killcliff MMA.
It's Ian, isn't it? Oh yeah, no, Ian. You're right, Ian Machado Gary. Yes, I thought it was the order for sure. Ian Machado Gary out of Killcliff MMA.
Correct.
I love his name. The Killcliff thing is just throwing me off.
Killcliff. I think it's called Killcliff FC. I think is actually.
Oh, come on.
But Onama and Armfield fought 4 years ago. I think it was both their. I know it was Armfield's last amateur fight, and Onama won a unanimous decision, but it was a very competitive fight. It was at 45. He's been in there with Ronnie Lawrence, went to a decision with him. So, I mean, Garrett's a good fighter. He might just be a little undersized for this one, a little bit underexperienced for this one in a way, just because Onama's just on a tear right now. But love the matchup. Garrett deserves this opportunity, and good on him. So it should be a fun card. Like, listen, there's a lot of competitive fights here. No doubt about it. The main event's fantastic. If you're gonna spend your Saturday watching this card, you're gonna be happy about it. There's some good fights. There's gonna be some good finishes. There's gonna be some bangers in here. It should be fun. And we'll talk all about it when it's all said and done. We'll talk about before as well with people's free fight show. But now let's hear from you. Let's hear from the peeps. Let's hear what you think about this card. Let's hear what you think about this main event. Let's hear what you think about low-key bangers. What should be the name change for the loser of the main event? I mean, there's some fun ones. Going through it, this is just a fun game in general. Randy's fun.
Ralph has taken a commanding lead, by the way, 37%. 37%. Grunkle I was going to put, but I think Grunkle would have won for sure. I think Grunkle had too much of an advantage, so I think I left Grunkle out. Obviously, Grunkle would be at like 50% right now. So I wanted to keep it R-related or whatever people suggest. Yeah, it could, right. Handolf, yeah, exactly. Dos Anjos would become Handolf. That actually sounds kind of sick.
Yeah.
Like in a good way. Like sick, like
maybe
the kids.
Maybe he wins. Maybe
sounds like a Han.
Sounds so cool, yeah.
He might tap the man on purpose if he could change his name to that.
And by the way, guys, I'm not insulting for any Randys, Ralphs, or Rogers out there. I'm not insulting any of your names. I just think like these guys who wants to get to have their name forcibly
I'm
changed
sorry
to anything?
if your name's
So.
Randy. I'm sorry you're usually named after the bully in every TV show growing up.
Okay, fair, yes, but I'm not. There's nothing inherently wrong about the name Randy or Ralph or
Or
Roger.
Roger too. They're just a bully name, and Ralph's usually the name getting picked on, and Randall's the one that's always squirreling to the teacher.
I'm not
I'm
saying
sorry if
it.
your name
I'm
begins
not,
with an
I'm
R.
not
You're
saying
just
any of this.
if your name begins with an R, your life is just you don't have no choice what to become when you grow up. That's just who you are.
that is a Jed Mashu take right there. Let's see what the peeps have to say here.
All right. Here we go.
Oh,
First
some.
question.
Sorry, before you read this, Mike, Papa Chuck suggesting one of the other. They should have their name changed to another Ninja Turtle. Donatello, Leonardo, or Michael. Oh, that's good.
Donatello dos Anjos. That's actually a pretty badass name.
That's great. That's the thing. These are all good names, though. Yeah, that's the thing. These are all might be improvements. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Can RDA drag Fiziev into deep waters like rounds 4 and 5 and drown him? So, Jose, we both mentioned that one of the big questions we have is what happens if this goes to the championship round. So I think it's pretty clear, although we don't know. If we're just guessing based on experience in the past, RDA probably favored more in the latter rounds. But is this a situation where if RDA can stifle Fiziev, like you said, first round and a half, he doesn't get flowing like he typically does in these fights? Is this a situation where RDA could just drown him in rounds 4 and 5?
Yes. Yeah, like absolutely. Rafael dos Anjos is the man. Like if Rafael dos Anjos could fight five, like get off the couch and fight 5 rounds essentially. Like I know the weight cut is rough and that could catch up to him, but I guess it would depend on Rafael Fiziev's game plan. If he just starts attacking the body early and we just get another replay of Glover Teixeira versus Yuri where Glover's like, those body shots caught up to me in rounds 4 and 5, and I was just tired. If that's Rafael Fiziev's game plan and he just starts connecting with body shots and we don't see the damage in the first 2-3 rounds, 1-2-3 rounds, and then 4 and 5, Rafael dos Anjos is like, God damn, that was a rough weight cut. And I just got kicked in the body a whole lot by an absolute monster from Kyrgyzstan, then yeah, it's going to be a rough rounds 4 and 5 for Rafael dos Anjos. But Rafael dos Anjos has been kicked in the body a lot. I'm also pretty sure he did his camp in Novo União, and they just kick steel beams for fun. So I'm pretty confident that if Rafael dos Anjos makes it to rounds 4 and 5, he's going to win, but that's a tall order against Rafael Fiziev.
I'm not 100% sure on that because of the weight cut, because of the 55 thing. I mean, what are we basing this 5-round RDA on at 55? I mean, are we going back to all the way back to Anthony Pettis' fight, which is a decade ago now? So I just kind of I don't put too much weight into that he's going to dominate if it goes late, only because of the weight cut. If it was at 170, I think RDA is a different fighter, but he's undersized at 170. That's the problem. But yeah, I'm not so sure. But that's the fun part about this fight. There's a lot of mystery right there in terms, because we just don't know who Fiziev is in the later rounds, and at some point RDA is going to get old, and it's tomorrow night the night. We don't know.
I mean, RDA's last 2 fights were 5-rounders at 155, so
I mean,
and he looked pretty damn good later in those fights too. I know.
But,
You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying, but I think there were different circumstances. Yeah.
I think when you're dominating for definitely the Moicano fight, when you're dominating like that, it's nothing saps your cardio like getting kicked in the stomach or punched in the head a few times, right? So if Fiziev can hurt him, can do some damage and put some work in the first 3 rounds, that's going to sap the gas tank, right?
Was that Felder's?
Right. And it's just
Felder's
overall
last fight?
experience. That was
Felder's last fight. That was his last fight. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And should not have been a split decision.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a different feeling going 5 rounds. You know what I mean? Like, I think Sarukian sort of had to deal with that against Gamrot. Like, it was their first time in their UFC careers that both went to round 4 and 5. But Gamrot's fought 5-round fights a million times. So him being in those later rounds was nothing new to him.
It really just comes down to how much damage RDA is going to have to take to get to that round 4 and 5. Until then, yeah. Because the Moicano fight, he took 0 damage, so he couldn't have gone 20 rounds, But we'll see.
Yeah, RDA looked fantastic at that fight. I know it was a guy coming in on short notice, but Moicano was rolling, and I actually thought stylistically is an interesting matchup. It actually, I actually thought Moicano actually matched up really well with RDA, and RDA shut him down fast. That was a good showing.
All right. This one's for Jose.
Did Jose win every spelling bee as a kid? Y'all need to get him on some game show stat. Listen, I love the game show idea. Stump the ESPN show. They had a game show called Stump the Schwab. Stump the Schwab.
Oh yeah.
With, Stuart Scott, you used to be the host of that show, the late great Stuart Scott. I used to watch it all the time, and all these people would walk in confidently thinking they could stump the Schwab and answer more trivia questions, and then Schwab would just crush them. And I feel like Jose would do that to most people in an MMA sphere. So.
I've never won a spelling bee, but in 8th grade I won the geography bee, and that's literally that's harder because you have to know where things are. And that is the only competition I've really ever been in at like a school setting. I've won a lot of like sports and comic book trivia. I'm very good at pub trivia. And then of course people try to beat me in between the links, but it's all, rigged, as the kids say these days. I'm just waiting for Gumbo Cat to come face me, but he has other things to do, like going to fights as a fan rather than working it.
We have to make that battle happen.
Basketball player, alma maters. That's my specialty. That's all I'm saying. Stump the Schwab.
Because Mike Bond of MMA Junkie needs a spreadsheet. I don't.
Wow.
The
call out.
Where's the horn? Where's the horn? Damn it.
That's a call out.
It's not a call out. It's just facts, dog.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't even get. It wasn't even worthy of the horn because, like you said, it was just facts.
Yeah,
that's a Conor McGregor non-call out.
Yeah, like also these Conor McGregor people keep talking about like, oh, why is Conor like dilly-dallying with Rafael Fiziev? This is not new to Conor. Like he had that weird beef with Paul Felder for a long time. He still has that beef with Rafael dos Anjos. This is like, we all know that Nate Diaz wants to get out of his contract. He's down to clown and fight whoever. I think like Conor's fights are infinitely more interesting when there's like sizzle on it. So he just puts his finger in all of these like lightweight beefs, so you can just blitz through his contract to be done with it. So if Rafael Fiziev has beef with Conor, they fight. That's all exciting. One fight down. Rafael dos Anjos, one fight down. That's why he always kept picking at Paul Felder. So if that fight ever happens, there was a reason for it to happen. Another fight off his contract. Like that's just the reality of it.
But then it'll be like someone like Donald Cerrone. Did he even have beef with Donald Cerrone before that?
He had called out Conor and has said he'd fight Cowboy like 2 years prior. And he's like, yeah, so I'm going to fight him now. The guy that has the most wins, I'll beat him. Like, that was it.
Smartest prize fighting move in years. Conor fighting Conor. All right. Enough of Conor talk. We talked about this briefly, but I feel like it's worthy of more talk.
Is Cynthia Calvillo fighting for a job on Saturday? She's lost 3 in a row when she welcomes Nina Nunes to the women's flyweight division. I think there's a very good chance she's fighting for a job on Saturday. I know Jose sort of said it all depends on how it goes. I mean, if these two go out there and just beat the hell out of each other for 15 minutes and it's fight of the night, then no. But I feel like other than a Calvillo win in any way, shape, or form, she's going to be teetering for sure. At best, she'll be teetering. AK, if Nina Nunes beats Cynthia Calvillo on Saturday, are we moving on here?
Yes, Cynthia Calvillo will not be a UFC fighter after or whenever they decide to make that call if she loses on Saturday. Someone I think the company really likes. I think they booked her in good positions. They've given her a decent promotional push. I think she's had results for sure. I mean, she had a nice run there for a while. She's got good wins. Her second fight, she took out Pearl Gonzalez, who's also getting a big push once upon a time. Jojo Calderwood, Courtney Casey, we talked about on this card, and Jessica Guy. So she's got some. And I'm able to say Jessica Guy, whatever. Jessica Guy again has been one of the toughest outs at 125 for a long time. But yeah, listen, you lose 3 straight fights. It will be 4 straight with the loss of Nina Nunes. I don't know what they do with you. I mean, they've certainly kept fighters around in this division. At women's 125 on the streaks, just again the aforementioned because I think it is a good division, but it's not a deep division, and that is one reason that is in her favor. It's one, and if it's a competitive fight, possibly even like if they surprise us, give us maybe a fight of the night. Again, it wouldn't be my front runner, but you never know. That's the thing with fight of the night; it can come out of nowhere sometimes. Definitely, they would keep her around, but I think it's that kind of effort. Yeah, she either has to win or put on a fight of the night winning effort, or at least fight of the night like contender to have a chance. Because it's just been a while. It's been a while since she's had that. She's looked kind of like what we thought could be a top 5 contender once upon a time. And the UFC waits for no man or woman. So I do think this will be her last fight in the UFC if she loses to Nina Nunes.
Everything you said makes sense, but then I look at the card, and many fights farther up the card, we have Chase Sherman fighting. So who knows? Chase Sherman coming off 4 straight losses.
He did them a favor, though. I remember technically 100%. He was released. Hold on. Technically, he was released. Remember, he was released after a 3rd straight loss, and then they had to re-sign him. So he actually already was cut during this streak, during this losing streak. So that's a weird
multiple times, yeah.
Yeah, and then why is he on the main card? I don't know, but they are doing him a favor because he did them a favor fighting a friggin' beast in Romanov.
3 losses in a row.
And, yeah,
so
no,
that could also one fight above him. It's only 1 fight above him. I thought it was like way above the card. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is Calvillo's last fight at 25. Maybe she really has to get her diet back down to straw weight again, because
that'd be amazing if she could, but she missed that weight like 3 times. So I just don't know if it's an option.
Yeah, just I unfortunately for her. How about for Nina? It'll be 3 straight losses. If she loses this fight, is her job on the line?
Oh boy, again, listen, they like both these women. The UFC definitely likes both these women. They're both company women. They've stepped up. Yeah, go ahead, Jose.
I think she would get another shot because it would be her 3rd loss, but there was like a 2-year gap between those because she had a baby. Mm-hmm. So like, who knows how well she would have done fighting if she was. That was also at strawweight. If I remember, wasn't because that was Tatiana Suarez's last fight. Like, Tatiana Suarez beat Nina Ansaroff at the time. Nina had a baby, changed her last name, and she still came back sooner than Tatiana Suarez, which is just a travesty. But I think she gets 1-2 more, especially because this is a new weight class for her, right?
Yes.
This is her first fight at flyweight? Yeah.
First time in the UFC. First time in the UFC.
Yeah. So I think she'll get at least 1 or 2 more shots.
I agree. I think she'll come back. For Nunes, I think she can lose and still have another fight. But what's your actual prediction for it, though?
It's close. Let me see what the betting odds are. Calvillo is a -140 favorite. Nunes comes back at +120. So close.
I'm gonna say Cynthia by decision.
I'm with that. Okay. Yeah, Calvillo by decision. This is essentially a strawweight fight. Too. Yeah, this is essentially like a strawweight fight, but happening at 125. So it's good. And that was one of the big. Really, that's just one of the big problems for Calvillo is that she just could not make 115. So she's getting
it's because like Cynthia, who she lost to, like Shukagan, who's so much taller and longer and beats everyone not named the champion, gets crumpled by Jessica Andrade, and then gets her face broken by Andrea Lee. Like 3 fighters who are just physically bigger and stronger than her.
Yeah, 3 true flyweights, not unfortunately not strawweights. You just can't make strawweight, I guess.
Yeah, and she has the draw against Marina. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Yep.
Was that a true draw? I can't remember that fight actually.
It was a true draw.
Yeah, but that was the fight she came in 5 pounds over. Yeah. I think she had that was her last fight at flyweight, at strawweight. That was, remember, when she was on the scale like shaking, I think, or was that when she fought in Buenos Aires because she's missed weight a few times.
We're losing track of her bad weight cuts.
Yeah, that was the Marina won the first 2 rounds. That was the DC card, I believe. That was the Overeem Jairzinho card, and Calvillo almost finished her in the 3rd and got a 10-8. So that was a clear draw. Just the way miss kind of soured that a bit, but I'm going Calvillo as well by decision. I think the 3rd round is going to be nuts either way. It's going to swing in one favor or the other, but give me Calvillo to just kind of outmuscle Nunes down the stretch.
We got a lot of interest in Jose's background here.
Jose Youngs actually read all those books in the background. Dude is Raid Man.
Yes.
Is there any book back there that you just maybe goes, I'm gonna get to later, but I like, or you've actually gone through every book back there?
What, like that I haven't read yet?
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, it's not a bad thing.
Not really. I mean, all the books that I'm currently reading are like by my bedside table on my coffee table, like nothing back here. I guess technically, like Lovecraft, I've read these stories because it's all H.P. Lovecraft, but I've not read the comic version of it. Same as like Moonshadow. I read all these as a kid, but I've not read the collected version yet. But I've read all these stories. Yeah. There's nothing up here I haven't read.
There you go.
No.
Here you go, Forrest.
Was that Rain Man's thing? He had read all his books. I remember, of course, he memorized the
It's not
baseball
Rain
like
Man's
almanac.
No, Rain Man
No.
Rain Man's just had like a photographic memory and could just recite things off the top of his head. Yeah.
I think he also Shakespeare. I think he didn't. I did not memorize. I just watched the movie recently. I'm embarrassed. I don't remember. There was a thing where I think he said he had read most of the books on like in his room or whatever.
Wasn't he good at counting toothpicks too, or something?
I mean, they said he has like his character had savant syndrome. Like,
That's all I remember.
It's a whole thing. Yeah. He counted the
I remember
toothpicks.
the toothpick
That's where that
thing
came
and
from.
something about and they were on an escalator.
That's where that came from. Yeah, the math, like the escalator math thing. It all came from Rain Man.
There is a book I haven't read, but that's because I just bought it.
Oh, show it. Flex on us.
Ode to Kirihito. I bought this in Las Vegas. I just literally haven't got to it yet because it's my newest book up here. It's
looks heavy.
Is that a novel? What is that thing?
Actually, no.
It's
graphic.
It's,
Okay.
it's a manga that has been put all together for American audiences, so it still reads left to right. But it's the creator of Astro Boy did this.
Is it lighter than it looks, or are you just super strong?
It is significantly light. Most mangas are light because
I was like,
mangas are printed on lighter paper than American graphic novels. Hope that answers everyone's question.
We're learning so much. Okay. We've got so many questions about Jose,
why?
And I want this one answered, and I think this is coming off as a negative question, but I'm not throwing this out in a negative way because I think it's
Hey man, I'm sorry I pulled it off, Brandon.
Yeah, that's it.
I just want to say, like, I Julie got this for me, and I was like, I want this necklace, and then I saw Israel Adesanya wear it. I'm like, damn it, because I bought my Kotsky shirt before him, but he wore it on like a UFC broadcast, so everyone's like, oh, you're copying Israel Adesanya, and then I had this. You can ask Oscar Willis, Brett Okamoto, John Morgan, all the reporters, because I just showed up immediately. They're like, "Are you wearing pearls?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're dope." And then like a month later, Izzy's wearing them, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're copying Izzy." I'm like, "God damn it!" Like, I don't have enough. My fingernails aren't long enough, so I'll never have French tips. Not that I would. Nothing wrong with that. I always get something, and then Izzy gets them, but he's always on a television, so everyone thinks I'm copying him, and that's just not the case. Weird timing.
Maybe that's
the true originals. They never get recognized. They never get recognized.
He meant when he said, he was like, "Hey, I can do your job, but you can't do mine." That's Izzy was talking to Jose. Yeah, I can dress like Jose, but Jose can't dress like me.
Yeah, that's very true. Pearls are a flex. Nah, I guess it's also not how you spell. It's also not how you spell my last name. People always put an apostrophe for some reason. Silly.
Oh yeah. Back to the main event.
If RDA can take Fiziev down and hit him with ground and pound, he will win. How good is Fiziev's takedown defense?
It's really good.
It's not. Yeah, it's solid. It's very solid.
And again, I have to mention again, athleticism gap. RDA is an awesome athlete for his age. Don't get me wrong. He's 37, and for a guy who's been in the wars he has, but like Casey kind of said, at some point that difference in age will catch up to you. I think it's what's Fiziev, 29, 30, something like that? 29, 30, yeah. So like 7, 8 years younger. And again, RDA at his age looks spectacular, but like how many stuff takedowns can he fight through? You know what I mean? Like that's going to train you. How much that work against the clinch? Who's that going to take more out of? When they're just grinding against the fence, things like that. So. I don't know if he can just take Fiziev down at will. Maybe early on he gets 1 or 2, but like I said, I think Fiziev is really strong, really fast. Has obviously probably been drilling takedown defense like crazy in this camp, and I just don't know if RDA is going to be able to hold him down to the extent that he's able to really lay in some substantial ground and pound. So I get why people are seeing that like that's his route to win a decision or even to finish Fiziev, but I don't see that fight. I don't see this fight going that way.
I think what people are trying to say is like RDA has to mix the martial arts if he wants to win. Fiziev, if he can keep it as a stand-up fight, I think we all pretty much agree that he wins, but RDA has to mix them up.
And that's not taking anything away from RDA, because RDA's boxing is top tier. RDA is like an A-level MMA boxer. Like, let us never not question that. It's just that Fiziev, I think, we just think is just a notch above that.
Yeah.
Fiziev also has wicked counter striking, like specifically with his kicks. He has that Muay Thai ability where if you kick him, he just like throws a body kick immediately. Like Aldo's the same way.
Those reactions, as soon as it touches, boom, like the whole
or
like you hear like coaches say, "Oh, sorry."
I was watching a bunch of Jose Aldo fights the other day just because that's what you do on a Wednesday afternoon. And Aldo does this thing where he like jabs into a kick and there's no time in between. Like it's just one fluid motion. Fiziev does the same thing, and I really want to see how Dos Anjos handles that. Especially because, like I said, I'm pretty sure RDA did his camp at Novo União, so he's seen that technique before. So I want to see if Fiziev brings all of these skill sets to the octagon, and like say it doesn't work, what's plan B? I'm very curious.
Well, also Fiziev better hope that RDA hasn't been paying attention to this Twitter beef with Conor, because he might try to dodge an axe kick and then he might try to dodge a high kick and then RDA changes direction, turns to an axe kick in midair. Will this apply to other techniques? Could RDA throw like a right hook and then turn it into a flying elbow drop midway through? If Fiziev, we don't know. Conor McGregor has opened up this whole door of like, why are people not changing the trajectory and angle and speed of their strikes midway? The guy is just always on another level with his striking analysis, and RDA might have taken all these into consideration, and then Fiziev tries to get cute with the lean back with the matrix move. Again, he might end up eating an axe kick or a Randy Savage elbow drop to the face. We don't know. So definitely something to consider.
That was an excellent description, AK. That was wonderful.
Big if true.
Yeah. We'll take one more, Casey.
One more.
Someone just said Ruffalo for the.
I like the one. Someone said Rufio. I love that one. Like from Pan.
Rufio Fiziev sounds really good though. Like it has to be a downgrade. It has to be a downgrade.
The guy who did Rufio's voice, to bring it back full circle, the guy that played Rufio, I believe, does the voice of Prince Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
What?
I'm pretty sure.
Wait.
I thought the guy who played Rufio had passed.
I just wrong then? Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, I think there's a lot of times I think actors have passed and they've been alive. Like,
wait, AK, you know the Avatar knowledge more than Jose?
No, not at all. I know Hook. I thought being as sad like the actor who played Rufio passed, but I could completely be making this up. I'm looking, and I'll look it up right now for you. I'm sorry. I apologize for upsetting people for even suggesting it.
If he's alive,
he's very alive. He's very alive.
You've been like living in sadness for years now.
I know.
Well,
he is very alive.
I was correct in my factoid. He's not only alive, that he did do the voice of Prince Zuko.
Yes, his name is Dante Basco.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to apologize, AK?
I do apologize. This is like all those people who like always in our comments like rip Joe Rogan, huh? So I just did rip Rufio, and I apologize for upsetting people. That was messed up. I got to check my facts.
Instead of doing mixed martial arts chant, you have to do the Rufio chant from Hook.
Yes, yeah, I do that all the time anyway.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who'd never make this mistake. Israel Adesanya. So he was right. He could easily do our jobs. He would never. He definitely knew. He definitely knew Rufio was still alive. He definitely knew.
Okay. One last question. I like this one. Let's not talk about fighters anymore. Let's just talk about us.
Hobbies outside of work. Casey, go.
I'm either at this desk or I'm over there in my gym. My life is really kind of just boring right now. It's just getting sweaty of other men and talking about sweaty men and women. And I listen to a lot of doom metal. Yeah, so that's about it.
Jose,
what do you guys think?
You never really talk about your hobbies, so it's hard to say. I mean, I wish you'd be more open about your passion.
My hobbies, all right. My 3 top hobbies are reading picture books, or comic books, as the kids call them these days. Watching Japanese animation or anime, or reading mangas, or having another human being just cut me up with ink on my body permanently. So those are my 3 hobbies in life.
AK?
I'm a big basketball guy. I think people know that who follow my Twitter. I love watching basketball. It's I know more about basketball than anything in the world. I love playing basketball. I'm not as good at playing basketball as I am talking about it, but I can dribble without, I don't know, falling over. So there you go. So basketball is like a huge part of my life. I'm a big movie guy too. I love talking about movies and like pop culture and TV. Check out, guys, if you haven't seen the You Love to See It podcast, it's an excellent movie podcast, fanbite.com. So you should listen to it anyway, and then check out the episode that I'm on.
What is it? Actually, tell me, what is it? You Love to See It? What is it?
It's
I'm
called
looking for a good movie podcast.
Yeah, it's called
actually.
You Love to See It, or Yiltzy, as the fans call it. Right. You Love to See It. It's with our pal Fernando Plachas is on there, of course.
Okay.
Danielle Riondo is also brilliant, and they have guests. Sometimes they have dopey guests on, like myself. And I did an episode recently where I talked about The Master, Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master, and I got super pretentious.
That's a dope movie.
So you guys have seen me nerd out about MMA. If you want to see me nerd out about movies too, check out that podcast. And again, just in general, it's a really good
Why
podcast.
Have they not
and that's
called
it.
Me? Jeez.
I only have two passions. I drink a lot of milk too. There you go. So that's my three hobbies.
There you go. I hang out with the fam. I like to lift weights. I like to play golf. And I like to do cannonballs in the pool. I'm a big cannonball guy. I don't go to the pool to just rest and relax. I do fun jumps, flips, jump into tubes. I'm like a 9-year-old at the pool here. So that's one of my favorite things to do.
And it doesn't count unless you yell cannonball before too, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All my jumps have names. Most of them I made up myself. So, oh yeah.
What's
fun.
A Mike Heck original? What's a Mike Heck original jump?
There's one I call I forgot what I was doing, and it's just me. It's me falling on my side with my right arm underneath my right leg, and I land like this.
I know those jumps. Like you go up there, you have an idea, but then like right when you lift, you kind of forget what you're doing. You just kind of freeze in the air.
And then it became a thing. And then it was just, okay, Daddy, do the you forgot what you were doing jump. And I'm like, okay. But it's fun. Yep.
All right.
That's exactly.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. And real quick.
No, it is not. Stop it. Happy birthday to Ariel Helwani. It is not my birthday.
Are you saying it's not Ariel's birthday? Are you saying
it is
Ariel's?
Listen, Matt Maggio, you're half right. It is Ariel Helwani's birthday. It is not my birthday. So happy birthday to the man, Ariel Helwani. I believe he turned the big 4-0.
4-0
today. I believe he's a real boy. So yeah, what a legend.
Someone on Twitter was saying your 20s are like the Jordan Kobe eras. So basically every year you're born, like every year age you get named after like a basketball player. So when you turn 23, it's your Jordan year. When you're 24, it's your Kobe year. And then someone turned 30 and someone was like, oh man, what are some good running backs? And now in the who's in the 40s? Fullbacks?
What?
Mike Allstott, baby.
Yeah, like when you turn 42, you can get Jackie Robinson, but like who else? Pedro Martinez, you're 45, but who else is there in the 40s?
Andre Kirilenko, 47.
Tony Fossas.
No, yeah, he was 47. AK-47.
Pascal Siakam, 43. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Ariel, keep an eye on that. Pascal Siakam,
for sure.
43.
Dennis Eckersley.
Ooh.
Basically, middle relievers of the 1980s. There you go. That's what your 40s are all about. So.
Jordan wore 40. You can be Jordan again with 45.
Oh, there you go. Excellent.
Well, no, when you turn 45, you're Pedro Martinez, the greatest player to ever, the greatest pitcher of the 90s and 2000s.
True story. For AK, for Casey, for Jose, I'm Mike Heck. We're out. See you 5:30 Eastern tomorrow for the People's Free Fight Show. Good night, everybody.